Transcarpathian Ukraine is a region full of different nationalities and religions. There live Ukrainians, Ruthenians, Roma, Poles, Hungarians, and Slovaks. According to the tradition, the Church of the Eastern Rite had its roots here back in the 9th century, during the mission of Saint Cyril and Saint Methodius. The separation of the Eastern and Western Church, that is, Orthodox and Catholic, happened later, in 1054. Theodor Romzha was born in 1911 in the small village Veliki Bochkov. The large family lived in poor conditions in a small house at the railway station. Theodor's parents were very religious people who raised their children in the Christian faith. Theodor Romzha lived in turbulent times. He spent his childhood in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Then, the region of Transcarpathian Ukraine was given to Czechoslovakia. From March 1939 until the end of World War II, the region was taken by Hungary and later by the Soviet Union. When Theodor felt his vocation to become a priest, his bishop sent him to Rome. The young Theodor longed to dedicate his life to the Russian mission, so he studied at the Rusicum, the Pontifical Russian College. At that time, he had no idea that he would never travel to Russia, but that Russia would come to him. In 1939, Theodor Romzha became a spiritual director and a professor of philosophy at the seminary in Uzhgorod. He tried to educate the young men to be priests of saintly lives and prepared them for the fight against atheism. The border of the Soviet Union had approached ominously. In 1944, Theodor Romzha was unexpectedly ordained as the Greek Catholic Bishop of Mukachevo.
He had prepared himself for the mission in Russia. In those times, we did not have a better prepared priest, one who would have known the situation in Russia better than him. He was young, 33 years old. Everybody was surprised because the youngest one had been chosen, but he knew the situation in Russia very well.
Theodor
Romzha was the last Greek Catholic bishop who was not imprisoned after the year 1945. He had almost no chance to do anything because the whole of the Soviet Union was against him, with millions of ideological commissioners. It was an unequal battle.
Bishop Romzha is a model for Catholic living. Every Catholic should follow his example, not to stamp on our faith.
There are two versions of the murder. Either the KGB agent injected him with the poison or placed a poisoned handkerchief below his nose. In any case, death came very quickly because the bishop was alone for only about 5 minutes. After the nuns, who had been ordered to leave the room by the director of the hospital, himself a KGB agent, came back, the Blessed Theodore was already in agony, taking his final breaths, his heart failing. He died because he was a bishop, because he was a Catholic, a believer, and because he was a symbol of unity. It was an excellent example of martyrdom. The cause of his canonization was begun in the 1980s by bishops from the United States, bishops of a Pittsburgh metropolitan district who are the spiritual sons of the Mukachevo diocese. They were the first ones to call the attention of the Universal Church to the person of this martyr bishop. I always say the martyrs did not win by their own power, but by the power of Jesus Christ, which they had received. The Lord glorified himself in them. They were not something more than other people. They simply were open to God's help, and they learned to trust the Lord. And that is a most difficult thing.
Below the window of the hospital room where Bishop Theodor was poisoned by curare, A simple plate records the events. In this hospital, during the night from October 31st to November 1st, 1947, the earthly life of the blessed martyr, Theodor Romzha, bishop of the Greek Catholic Eparchy of Mukachevo, came to an end. Blessed Theodore, pray to God for us sinners.